Knock, knock. Hi.
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur coming to you with another review. This week, Leo sent me Last Night on Earth, and this 2024 film was directed by Marcos Efron and stars Shane West, Jake McLaughlin, and Leven Rambin, among others, of course. The story of this movie is that there's this asteroid headed to Earth and is, destined to wipe out all of humanity, and it's, scheduled to arrive in 8 months. And so lots of people just kind of, do whatever they want, break whatever laws they want. And our story focuses on this couple, and they have decided just to spend the last 8 months together in the woods. So they are in the woods, and there's other people in the woods as well, escaping kind of the chaos of the cities. However, maybe that chaos follows them out into the woods. What will happen though? Well, for that, you gotta watch the movie and find out. All right, so let's discuss this film. Well, with this one, I gotta say I kind of liked it, all things considered. With this one, it's just this, couple in the woods, and they keep meeting these other people, and they have this like one kind of large Christian group that they meet up with. And I like that it had like this Christian tinge to it. Like, it's not very heavy-handed like other religious movies. They do have, comments every so often, get your soul right with God before this happens and stuff like that. And I would have liked them to explore that kind of side a little bit more, because it's an asteroid, coming to the Earth to destroy it. However, that's not how religions think the end of the world will happen. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting take. I do think that this is kind of like would be considered a Christian movie. I didn't do too much research about it, but just the things that they say and the comments that they make, like every so often they'll say, is your soul right with God and that type of stuff. I thought that added an interesting element to it. Also, the way that they tell this story I thought was pretty good. It's kind of a slow and relaxed pace in the beginning, or at least, the first 2 acts. And then once it gets into the 3rd act, it kind of really ramps up the tension. And so you're just, getting more and more into it throughout the whole thing. And so it has this really good progression of the story. And that, combined with the other elements, just make it for an interesting little watch. Other than that, I thought the acting was pretty good. Of course, they have some, not as strong actors. Mostly the children in this one weren't as strong as, the adults. But they do a good job regardless. I think Shane West is kind of a standout performance in this one. He is kind of a sinister type of character, and he plays it well enough. The main character kind of looks like, a Jesus type of figure, like with his hair and his beard. And I gotta say, that character, I really did enjoy the main character here. It has, like I said, this religious kind of tone to it. But throughout the whole movie, the main character never confirms his religion, but he never denies any religion. And so I did appreciate that, not being heavy-handed on the religious aspect with, the main character. So that was good. And yeah, just the characters, certainly it has this like personal feel to it. Like, what would you do if the world was ending in 8 months? And the way that they kind of sort all that out and, their progression into their plan and things like that, I think is endearing ultimately. Let's see what else works. I think like the way that they kind of introduce the asteroid or meteor or whatever it might be, it works for what it is. Like, it's all done kind of through flashbacks to see kind of their response to it, like their immediate response, and now, where they are now and what their plan is. And that certainly did work. I thought some of the ways that characters, initially respond to it seemed a little bit wishy-washy, but ultimately, it all kind of comes together, I think. So yeah, it's a fun, cute little story. Certainly relaxed, I thought, for the most part. So it's one of those movies where it's not like an intense kind of feeling throughout the whole thing, which, I don't know, the end of the world seems like an intense thing, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be. And I thought that was kind of just, I don't know, an interesting way of presenting it. And that brings me to what doesn't work with this one. Well, ultimately, it is just a low-budget movie, and so it's just people talking in the woods the whole time. And so if you're not into, people in the woods, then this is probably not going to be a movie for you. They do have some flashbacks, like a party or something like that, but the way it's all presented, I think works. It is kind of more about the interpersonal drama between, everyone. And then once the 3rd act hits and, it really kind of ratchets up the tension, I think it works. I think it really is kind of just a more relaxed drama thriller type of movie. So yeah, it is what it is. And what it is a laid back apocalyptic movie. And so ultimately, would I recommend this movie? I think you would have to kind of be in the mood for this one. I think it would also be like a good kind of date night movie where it is much more kind of chill and relaxed for the most part until, the ending. And so, yeah, it's just one of these movies that, it is what it is. It's just a laid back end of the world movie. As for a rating, well, I was actually, pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed this movie. So I'm going to give it the better than average score, but not above average score of 5.6. And with that being said, come back next time. I might be here, Leo might be here, who knows? Like and subscribe as always, and I will see you then. Peace out.